If you haven't noticed, libraries and schools are removing books that have been censored all across America. Certain people are wanting to take out books containing critical race theory, discrimination, gender identity, LGBTQ+ content, sexual content, offensive language, themes of death, indecency, racial content, obscenity, etc. These books are taken because of advocates like Moms for Liberty, a conservative group based in Florida, elected officials, or enacted legislation. What is curious is that 71% of voters oppose efforts to have books removed from their local public libraries, according to Allah, but were overtaken in their efforts. It seems that the people's vote isn't equal to the efforts of money and power. From what is broadcasted on my local news, it would seem that the supposed original underlying modus operandi was to oppose the LGBTQ+ community, banning books like Gender Queer, This Book is Gay, Flamma, etc., which localized communities may have unknowingly made it a catalyst for further Tories to obstruct the First Amendment, which would eventually graduate to pressure on the legislation and evolved into censoring whatever the people that have power want to censor, legally, by their own law. Unfortunately, librarians and booksellers in my state of Arkansas are now able to be charged criminally for knowingly letting minors take books that are obscene. CR. Code Section 5-27-212, and Subsection 5-68-501. Which, as we know, the subject of obscenity is very vague. Obscenity is subjective, which makes the law subjective. The people that review these books, which decide whether or not to ban them, get to place their own opinion on what is considered obscene. Obscenity, again, is subjective. Here's some examples on where their opinions differ. Charlotte's Web was banned within Kansas for themes of death and a talking animal, which the Bible also contains. The Lorax in California was banned because it would turn children against logging in the foresting industry, which would normally be an environmentally conscious way to think. To Kill a Mockingbird was banned within Florida, Mississippi, and California because the N-word is written in it, even though it shows realism to the racism that was prominent in American history for a time. So in that mindset, you would need to ban every religious book, every history book, every children's book, all Shakespeare literature, and every environmentally friendly book, and many more genres. The Davis School District banned the Bible for elementary and middle schools to fit the law of the state of Utah. Then, the people that advocated for the banning of these obscene books pushed for an exemption of the Bible in this law, which is contradictory to the law that they advocated for. The Bible includes rape, murder, genocide, slavery, incest, talking animals, etc. So by their logic, their religious books should be banned just like any other book. It seems to me that these people that are more worried about records and recollections of heinous instances than of the instances themselves. If there's a book about racism, they're more worried about the book than fixing the real-life racism. They want kids to not see the loggers, instead of fixing the environmental issues of the forestry industry. They don't want kids learning about the Holocaust, so that the kids can't see the similarities between the US's political movements aligning with the condemnation that they put on the Nazis. Here we have an issue. Censoring ideas and beliefs creates a xenophobic and ignorant society, teaching students that it's fine to put an end to an idea or viewpoint just because they don't agree with it. One piece in history that comes to mind when talking about mass censorship is Nazi Germany, in which they censored books in the 1930s to fit their political agenda. The difference here is, the Nazis had kids of Germany collect the books that were obscene, so that the government could burn and erase those books from history. However, it seems America skips the middleman, because kids are unreliable at handing over the obscene books that they want to read, so instead, it has the adults choose the ideas and beliefs that they want for the children to keep, and takes out and censors the rest. Which reminds me of the book Fahrenheit 451. A book about book censorship, which got censored itself. Ironic, isn't it? There is a book called Moors. The concept was about the Holocaust, which is history, but it was censored in Tennessee. To censor history is a form of propaganda, along with manipulating the news, in which we know the U.S. government does frequently. Nazi censors removed some textbooks from classrooms. It's eerily similar to removing books that contain history from our current classrooms. You don't see it, because as an adult, you are no longer in a classroom. At least in this country, teachers and librarians are speaking out against this injustice, but don't forget, they are being criminalized. Times have altered. In Nazi Germany they sent the people distributing these books to concentration camps, due to their beliefs on supremacy. Remember, our librarians are being criminalized for the same. Let's not forget that our government imprisoned innocent Japanese Americans in the 1940s, only for suspicions, which was less than 100 years ago. They will do it again if required. Supreme Court Justice William Brenner Jr. issued a statement 40 years ago, asserting that under the First Amendment, local school boards may not remove books from school library shelves simply because they dislike the ideas contained in those books. Strangely enough, even though Supreme Court precedents are usually long-lasting, Brenner's forceful 1982 pronouncement has mostly been ignored. The underlying problem is, a lot of people that are in positions of power are people that subscribe to certain religions and ideologies, and they have the power to make the law abide with their beliefs, instead of the people's beliefs. An example of this issue is in my state of Arkansas. The Christian Ten Commandments statue is publicly displayed at the state capitol, following private fundraising from state senator and Christian minister Jason Rapert. The monument was replaced on April 26, 2018 after being destroyed by a car. In protest against the monument, the Satanic Temple offered to donate a bronze sculpture of Baphomet as a symbol of religious pluralism and freedom. The statue of goat-headed Baphomet was protested by many Christians and conservatives, even the KKK, and was blocked because of a 2017 Arkansas law that requires legislative sponsorship for consideration of any monument. Would you like to guess what the high percentage of members of legislation in Arkansas are? They are Christian, and also claim to be non-partisan, but register as Republican. Obviously. That is just one example. This isn't one state's issue. This is an issue in many states across the country. This idea of a certain people believing that their way is the only way, and their way is supreme, and having the power to implement their beliefs and disregard others legally. That's reminiscent of the 1930s, in Nazi Germany. As we all know, there is a differentiation. The U.S. today doesn't have mass genocide over certain people, at this point in time. Censorship of knowledge, and manipulation of the news are commonplace in the U.S., but were also the slow start to the regression of Germany 90 years ago. Another difference to think about, Nazi Germany also burned those books that they censored, erasing them from history, which was known to the public. Nothing was digital in the 1930s. Where are the books that are being confiscated in America going? Do they sit in rotten warehouses? Are they being recycled? Shredded? If so, that's no different than burning them and losing history, actually, taking away history. That way we can repeat it. Seems that's how they may want it. It is impossible to think that every single book ever written is available digitally. Even Nikola Tesla's files that have been around for 80 years aren't digitally scanned. If you want copies of them, you have to come from a respected organization and pay a hefty fee, and still you don't get to see the full catalog without seeing them in person. If those files catch fire, they will be lost forever, just like the Great Library of Alexandria. Censoring any book comes with a price. They can start by taking a copy, then taking 1,000 copies, taking 1,000,000 copies, and eventually taking every copy. Then you are left with hoping that a historian that rewrites history doesn't alter it to his or her belief system. Whether you agree or disagree with a book, you like a book or dislike a book, you subscribe to the writings of one religion or another, you agree or disagree with a murderer's and or a prophet's manifesto, every piece of writing should be made available to the public. That, however, is my opinion. Hopefully this piece of writing will also get censored, that way I'll know I did my job.